Today we're talking about Aquaman #1 and whether it has any kind of connection to the Absolute Universe. Before we do, I want to give you a heads up. This video will include some spoilers. We're kind of going to go over the whole issue. In my opinion, the big spoiler would have just made me want to read it even more. But if you want to avoid spoilers, pause the video, go read it, come back immediately, hit play, and off we go. So the first issue of the new Aquaman book starts out saying this story is about Aquaman, the God Killer. Then after that heavy statement, it jumps into boring day-to-day life stuff for Aquaman. He's learning about the new power that he got from Mira during the Absolute Power event, chilling with the fam, landing planes with ocean water, hero stuff. But then he's also the king, so he's got to do boring royal meetings and all that kind of thing. In the midst of all those meetings, someone shows Arthur a giant mysterious pearl that becomes important later. Now, Arthur is not loving the bureaucratic work, so he probably feels pretty lucky when he gets called out to fight a giant sea monster. And I don't mean a monster who lives in the sea, but a monster that's actually made out of seawater. So Aquaman handles his business, but then he hears someone scream far away, and he swims back home as fast as he can, finds all of the ruins of Atlantis, and that giant orb or pearl from earlier is the only thing left. Now this pearl or orb, it appears multiple times. It was in Flashpoint Beyond #1, it was in The Flash number 785, and it was in Batman the Brave and the Bold #18. The important part is that Zatanna tells Arthur in Aquaman #1 that it's as if someone has hidden this orb from the tapestries of magic, maybe before the beginning of time. Of course, Aquaman, he doesn't have time to read a bunch of other comics to figure out what happened to his wife and kid and kingdom. So when the orb becomes or creates this doorway, Arthur swims right on through. But then it explodes and leaves behind this giant Omega symbol, which means Darkseid probably has something to do with it. And the solicit for Aquaman #2 describes Atlantis as being obliterated, which you see in this one. And it also ties its fate directly to Apocalypse, with a little pun. Another potential connection is that Aquaman's role as a god killer in this arc suggests he's going to go to battle with a god. Maybe a new god. Ram V is working on New Gods, which is off to a very interesting start, by the way. So maybe that has something to do with it. But what I'm now wondering is Aquaman in the Absolute Universe now? If so, where and when did he end up there? Is he in the far future, where he might run into Booster Gold in that Red Sky version of the Absolute Universe? Or maybe he'll show up in one of the ongoing or upcoming Absolute books. The thing that makes it make the most sense to me is that Zatanna talks about it being hidden from the tapestries of magic before the beginning of time. That sounds like something that Darkseid could have done on his way to the Absolute Universe. And my question to you is this: is Aquaman #1 the start of Absolute Aquaman? Or is Aquaman from the main continuity about to take over as the de facto absolute version of himself? Or is something else going on here?